Morning, everyone. As surgeons, we have to be very familiar with our sutures and suturing techniques and staples. This is because our bread and butter, what we use in surgery, not only cutting, but suturing forms an important part of it. So, without any further ado, let's start off with the class. This is a subject seminar on sutures and daily practice by Dr. Praveen.
Good morning to respected teachers and my dear colleagues. Today, the seminar is about sutures in daily practice. And we'll be seeing about the sutures, history of the sutures, types of sutures, its characteristics, needles and types of needles, and types of suturing. The word suture is derived from the Latin word sutura, which means a sewn seam. While looking at the history, East African tribes used the tendon strips of animals and acacia thorns for closing the wounds. And in South America, they used black ants' pincers to close the wounds, as seen here. And in Roman, they used materials such as linen, silk, metal clips when there is an gladiator wounds. And we Indians used horsehair, cotton, and leather sutures. Can anyone say the difference between suture versus ligature? Or both are same?
We start from Nikita.
Suture is to approximate an open wound, whereas ligation is to close the end of the tube, sealing of the tube, making it a blind sac.
Yes, correct. And in suture, we use a needle, and ligature, we don't use a needle. What are the characteristics of the suture? Its physical structure, strength, tensile behavior, absorbability, and biological behavior. Physically, suture can be classified into monofilament and multifilament. In monofilament, it is a single thread suture and it has strong memory. Memory means it is the ability to retain its original shape. And due to this ability, monofilament sutures is difficult to knot and more knots are required to secure it. And examples of monofilament sutures are polyglyconate, polydioxanone, polyglycopronone, which is available as monocryl, nylon, polybutester, polypropylene. And multifilament sutures are one in which suture contains of intertwined multiple threads and it is very easy to handle. But the disadvantage of multifilament is it can lodge the bacterial products. And examples of multifilament are polyglactin, which we can commercially see as Vicryl, polyglycolic acid, silk, and polyester.
1 second, you can just go back to the previous slide. Can you raise the start from there? Typically, another advantage of monofilament versus multifilament, apart from what we said. Multifilament basically the knot which is doing multifilament is more steady. Correct. So, one point for multifilament is that it has better knot security. Why? Okay, what do you mean by knot security? Right. Correct. So, what is it directly proportional? Friction coefficient. Okay. So, we have a multi-filament suture because there are braided or this intertwined. So, you have a lot of threads. So, what happens if you see this one finger tends to slip off? If you try to use 4 fingers, the grip or the friction is more. So, that way, multi-filament has a better knot security as against monofilament. So, in other words, what does it correspond? How many knots we have to put in multifilament versus monofilament? Compared to monofilament, less number of knots. One more advantage. Same way, advantage of monofilament versus multifilament. That we already mentioned, correct? What happens if the bacteria gets lost in multifilament? Because a suture doesn't have its own blood supply, so you can't expect antibiotics or your body's immunity to reach in between and kill the bacteria. Apart from that, with respect to tissue trauma, equal to what? With respect to what? Which has more trauma, multi-filament or monofilament? Correct. Correct. So why is that?
Because of the surface.
No, see, it's simple. No, monofilament is simple. Multi-filament you have. So obviously the diameter will be more in a multi-filament. So of course the trauma will be more in a multi-filament. Okay.
No, but practically, how many knots are you going to put for a multi-filament and how many for a mono?
For multi-filament, I don't put in monofilament, I don't need to put.
Just said that multi-filament has better coefficient of friction. So how many knots you put for that?
Who is
So
the
it says,
friction?
what is the basic minimum for a surgeon's knot?
3.
Don't forget that. 3 for a multi-filament and how many for mono? 6 of them. 6. And it is a 6 knot. And is there a method where disadvantage of the top multi-filament? Since twisted and there are multi-filament, there are grooves, bacteria get lost. Is there a mechanism where that can be obviated? Where that can be avoided, even in a multi-filament? That's nice. What do you quote they do?
Silicon,
Yes.
silicon coated.
Is it the monofilament easier to handle or multi-filament?
Multi-filament easier to handle.
That's
The-
no.
The strength of the suture depends upon the characteristic material of the suture and its diameter and the way we handle in.
Can you just stop, block this way, press B.
Just be.
What happens?
Alright.
Okay, I'll just go one slide in front of back. Can you tell me what are the sizes of the suture, what we use? What do you normally use in routine practice?
10.
What is that 10 derived from? Because I learned about it when I started preparing for the class. What does 10 denote or what metrics is it? Is it centimeter, meter, kilometer, meter? What exactly are the metrics?
I'm not sure, so but they again mentioned some length below that. 45
Length is
centimeters.
different.
Diameter.
This is the diameter.
It's called as USP. Okay, does anyone know what USP stands for? It's basically given from the United States Pharmacopoeia. They start with 0. 0 is the center. Okay, anything above that will become 1, 2, 3. And anything which is smaller in diameter, rather than making -1, -2, -3, they made it 2 zeros, which is 2 0. 3 zeros, which is 3 0, 4 0. That doesn't mean 1 0 is bigger than, 2 0 is bigger than 1 0. No. 0 0, then 0 0 0, 3 0. Like that, you go on, the smaller the diameter, more the number of zeros.
As sir explained, it is measured in US pharmacopoeia denotation and
Pharmacopoeia.
and it is 0 as base and above 0 its diameter increases and below 0, that is 2 0, 3 zeros and up to 9 0 the diameter decreases, and 9 0 is the thinnest one and 3 is the thickest one.
No. Smaller.
The smaller.
10 zeros. Can you guys tell me what is the importance of this? I know he's added it later, but I want you guys to tell me why do we use a 10 0 when we can use 1 0 or 2 0? Why? Yeah, that's what it means. Why? What happens?
Diameter more.
Tissue trauma. Okay, that is one thing. Good. The smaller the size of your trauma, the lesser is the inflammation, lesser is the scar formation.
See, also what you realize is not only does the size of the
the future material matters, but the needle correspondingly will be smaller. So the tissue trauma is lesser because of that. So base and where you need absolute cosmesis, you need to use sutures which use the least amount of inflammation, least amount of scar.
And the tensile strength of the suture can be defined as the force required to break the suture when two ends are pulled apart. And suture tensile behavior can be classified into elastic and plastic. In elastic, the suture regains its original length when the tension is released, but in plastic, it doesn't regain its length. And we normally use the suture that have plastic in nature.
In easier terminologies, elastic means like a rubber band. You stretch it, comes back to normal. Plasticity means you stretch it, but it doesn't come back to normal. So where exactly this property is important in sutures where you expect edema to happen. Okay, like bowel anastomosis, you're doing in an edematous or you expect edema in the next 2 days. You want the suture to be able to expand, but you want it to retract as well. If once the edema sets in the suture, it can give way. Okay, so I don't think we use plastic sutures. We are ideally supposed to use elastic sutures, not plastic. Or you need to have sutures which have more characteristics of elasticity as compared to plasticity.
And suture can be classified into two types, absorbable and non-absorbable. Based on the nature of the suture, it is of two types, natural and synthetic. In natural, suture has the natural antigens and it can incite the inflammatory reaction. And examples are catgut and silk. In synthetic, it is an inert suture and doesn't incite any inflammation. And the examples are polyglactin, polydioxanone, polyglyconate, polyglycolic acid, polyglycopyrrole, and nylon, polypropylene, polyester, polybutester, and surgical steel.
There are 3 classifications of sutures. We already finished one. Second is absorbable versus non-absorbable. And third one is natural and synthetic. Okay, so that doesn't mean everything is clubbed. Each of them have their own characteristics. Now again, starting with Vinod, can you tell me advantages of absorbable versus non-absorbable? Okay, tell me what you mean by absorbable.
It can digest on its own.
The suture can digest on its own or?
With the help of enzymatic.
Correct. So the suture can be. So what is the advantage?
So we can use internally.
Correct. So there is no need for suture removal. So what is the disadvantage?
They will digest on its own even before the.
Not necessarily. In certain areas of the body, though you don't have very good blood supply and you don't expect the fusion to happen, you need sutures which stay in place for a very long period of time. So there you can't depend completely on absorbable sutures. Can you give me an example? I'm talking about internal unit. Give me an example.
Pancreatic ducts. They will digest.
No. I'm not understood the point what you're trying to make. Any area outside, so inside the level of the skin, where you need sutures to be there for a long period of time. Correct. Dental is in orthopedics. What do we use? In laparatomy, where do we use now the facial? Correct. So now he told me about absorbable versus non-absorbable. Where will you use non-absorbable sutures? Skin closure. Okay, fine. Skin closure. Why do you use non-absorbable skin closure and not absorbable? No. Let's just keep it simple. In laparotomy, why do we use non-absorbable versus absorbable in a primary wound closure? Second point. When does the suture get absorbed? Just ask me in general. Have you heard of any suture getting absorbed within 7 days? Yeah. So what happens if you leave a suture or a foreign body in place for a long period of time? Scarring is more. That is why when you have for cosmesis on external surfaces, always better to use non-absorbable suture. Because you can take out the suture at the earliest and allow the wound to heal. Okay, and now coming to natural versus synthetic. What is the advantage of natural sutures versus synthetic sutures?
So, natural means they have one hand, so they for infinitely
That is disadvantage. Where do you get natural sutures from? Yeah, it's easy to get, no, manufacturing and all is much easier. So it is cheaper. That is only answer. It's only cheaper. Okay, and in synthetic, you told me the disadvantage, that will become the advantage of this. What is the advantage of correct. So they don't have those antigens. They are synthesized in a factory. So the amount of reaction with the body is low as compared to a natural juice. So your scarring and all will be better, but the disadvantage being that they are more expensive when compared to natural. Yes.
So something that are absorbable is better for cosmetic or non-absorbable.
Non-absorbable sutures are better because all your absorbable sutures tend to stay in place for as long as up to 90 days. And if you use monocryl and all, 90 days to 120 days. So imagine if you leave a suture in place. I'm not talking about tensile strength, I'm just talking about the suture being in place. So the longer they are, the thicker scar they are. It looks good on day one when you don't have any sutures. But over a long period of time, if you look at cosmesis, non-absorbable are better. I am sure most of the plastic surgeons also elaborate.
That's what I was going to say. Plastic surgeons put more sutures so that the tension on the wound is distributed equally along the sutures and remove them early so that the scar is good. So, other thing that I wanted to tell you guys is whenever you are presenting, you don't mention the gradient. You have to mention the proprietary name.
Natural sutures are generally proteolized by the enzymes that is produced in the body, and synthetic sutures undergoes hydrolysis, that is hydrogen bonds are broken down between the sutures and it is hydrolyzed.
Just go back one step. So what is the importance of this? What are you trying to tell us? Are these two mechanisms predictable? Can you tell them exactly when this will happen, when that will happen?
The way natural sutures undergo cannot be predicted, but synthetic sutures hydrolyzing can be predicted.
Correct. And it's actually a combination of both. You can't say that natural undergoes only proteolysis and synthetic undergoes only hydrolysis. Okay, it's a combination of both for both the sutures. But what's more important is, even I actually found out this today morning because when I had a confusion. In infected tissues, because the amount of inflammation is more, the amount of proteolysis is more. And proteolysis is an unpredictable phenomenon. It depends on that patient's immunity. And there's a lot of phagocytosis, a lot of proteolysis will happen, so the suture can denature faster or lose its tensile strength much faster. So in an infected environment, you cannot predict the tensile strength and when the suture is going to lose its strength. Okay, so that is the importance of this side.
And the ideal characteristics of sutures include: it should be easy to handle, predictable behavior in tissues, predictable tensile strength, it should be sterile, and it should glide easily through the tissues, and it should have ability of secure knotting, and it should be inexpensive, it should have minimal tissue reaction, it should be non-capillary, non-allergenic, non-carcinogenic, non-electrolytic, and it should not shrink.
So this is the best suture when you look at all of these things.
It's only an imaginary, sir. All materials. Yes.
For that particular region and what is available at that point of time. Okay.
And regarding individual sutures, can
I would say if you look at all of these characteristics, rolling apart from this securing knot, but even when you put the knots properly, it will secure. Rolling is the best in terms of you look at all of these characters.
Just one point, go ahead. With regard to memory of the suture, I'm sure all of you know, memory is basically the ability of the suture to retain its initial shape, and the initial shape corresponds to what the shape of the suture is inside the package. Okay, so that has a direct link to the number of knots that you need to throw. Okay, and how long your suture should be before you cut it, the length of the suture when you cut it. They say that is directly proportional to the memory. If more memory is there, leave a longer length of suture when you cut it. Less memory, you can even cut it at the knot, but just beyond them, because you're confident that you will not see that. So there is no ideal length as to how much you are supposed to cut. And it's a short, long, it's all related to the suture material that it is.
Catgut is of two types, plain and chromic. It is derived from the cattle. Plain is derived from the cattle, and in chromic, it is along with plain, it is tanned with the chromium salts. So in plain, the tensile strength is lost within 7 to 10 days, but due to tanning with chromium salts, the chromic it has some longer duration, that is 21 to 28 days. As it is a natural suture, it undergoes phagocytosis and enzyme degradation within 7 to 10 days, but chromic has longer duration of 90 days. It is used in superficial vessels, subcutaneous tissues, and in stomas.
In clinical practice, where do you use it? Have you ever used catgut in surgery?
No, sir.
You know,
Mm,
have you used catgut anywhere? Where you wanted to follow up at the earliest? Okay, accepted. So basically, terminal cases. And okay, anything else? Not worried about this. Oral cavity. Next, circumcision. Because you don't expect to go remove sutures, and you don't want it to stay there for a long period of time. You can use it.
Circumcision, I would urge all of you to use plain catgut, because the chromic catgut will become like barbed wire after some time. Hurt them a lot. And you don't want to say that. So use plain catgut.
Polyglactin, it is a braided filament and it's a copolymer of lactate and glycolide coated with polyglactin. Its tensile strength is approximately 60% at 2 weeks and 30% at 3 weeks. As it is in synthetic suture, it undergoes hydrolysis and it is minimal until 5 to 6 weeks, and its complete absorption occurs at 60 to 90 days. It is used generally in gut anastomosis and vascular ligatures. And there are special type of vicryl, that is vicryl plus, in which it has broad spectrum antibiotic triclosan coated along with it, and vicryl rapid, in which it is treated with gaumaris. So it has faster absorption and it has complete absorption by 6 weeks.
What is another use of vicryl? Apart from what you mentioned. Vicryl meshes are available. I suppose it's not available in Nigeria, but it's available. So in patients who have septic abdomen and things like that, where if you decided to relook in 48 hours, you don't have to use it. But if you know that you're not going to go back in, you're expecting problem to persist, then you can close with the vicryl mesh, because it will get absorbed and later, except that they may have incision and they will treat that. So vicryl meshes are used in very infected cases. It is supposed to be good that way.
Yes.
Or in common.
Polyglycoperon, it is a monofilament and it's a copolymer of glycolate and caprolactone. Its tensile strength is 21 days and it goes hydrolysis, and complete absorption occurs by 90 to 120 days. It is mainly used in subcuticular skin. Polydioxanone, commonly called as PDS, it is a monofilament polyester polymer and its tensile strength is approximately 70% at 2 weeks, 50% at 4 weeks, and 14% at 8 weeks. Its hydrolysis is minimal until 90 days, and complete absorption occurs at 180 days. It is commonly used in bowel, bladder, and tracheobronchial repair.
Just one point. Now, if you look at it, so far, all the sutures that we saw, you used to have a complete absorption by about 90 days. But what you guys need to understand, it's not complete absorption that we need to be worried about. We're more worried about the tensile strength. And most of them tend to lose 50% of their tensile strength within 2 to 3 weeks. Here you can see that even at 4 weeks, it still has its strength. So it's called a delayed absorption. And you can see that it even stays in the body for a longer period of time. So this is something that we commonly use because it's delayed absorption.
So this is the recommended suture for closure of laparoscopy wound. So that is the current recommended standard is PDS.
Yes.
Yeah.
Silk is a braided multifilament, and it's usually black in color, and it is a natural protein which we get from the raw silk from the silkworm. Its tensile strength loses 20% when it is wet, and about 80 to 100% it is lost by 6 months. It undergoes fibrous encapsulation by 2 to 3 weeks and absorbs slowly over 1 to 2 years. It is silk is actually non-absorbable. We classify it as non-absorbable, but in clinically it undergoes slow degradation and it is absorbed slowly over 1 to 2 years. Generally, we use silk to fix drain, skin, and bowel anastomosis.
Yeah, but skin and bowel anastomosis has to be taken with a pinch of salt. It was what we used to use earlier when we didn't have the newer suture or the synthetic suture materials. We might be using to fix drain. Why can't we use ethylon or vicryl or something like that? Use vicryl, vicryl has better security. That's the answer, it's cheap. And you're not too worried because you tend to take out the drain in 2 to 3 days. You're not too worried about the amount of inflammation which happens in that one prick point. Okay, rather than the entire skin closure.
Praveen, have you put the cost of so like in the sense say what we use normally?
Yes.
That depends on the company, not on the
Materials
material.
but epsilon and clothing. The cost is so much different. So at least makes sense.
Right, it's really good. Yes.
Yes.
So, put it in the book.
Yes. Polypropylene. It is a monofilament and usually comes in blue in color. It is a polymer of propylene. Its tensile strength is infinite. That is, it is maximum, and it has greater than 1 year. It is encapsulated in the tissue, and normally it is used in cardiovascular, ophthalmic surgery, and mesh repair. Nylon, it occurs as a monofilament in brand names such as Ethylon and multifilament as Neurolon. It is a polymer. It loses tensile strength 15 to 20% per year, and it is generally encapsulated in the tissues. And it is used in skin closure, abdominal wall closure, neurosurgeries, and ophthalmic surgeries.
What does the encapsulated in tissues mean? Basically, to leave the suture in place for a long period of time, the surrounding tissues will go on covering it. So the suture might get buried under it. So don't leave skin suture for a very long period of time, assuming it's going to give you better strength. You will actually have difficulty in suture removal at that point.
Polyester, it is a monofilament or multifilament. It is a polyethylene terephthalate, and its tensile strength is infinite, and it is also encapsulated in the tissues. It is generally used in cardiovascular, ligament, and tendon repair.
Can you tell us where we use ethylon as compared to ethylon? No. Okay. What is the advantage of an ethylon versus ethylon? I'll even give you the answer. Ethylon is monofilament, ethylon is multifilament. It is available as monofilament, but more or less what we use is multifilament. And second is, of course, here the memory is very low as compared to epsilon. So where have you ever used epsilon? Basically, in very narrow spaces, no? Laparoscopic surgery especially, or even robotic surgery, urological surgeries, you can't afford to have memory of the suture there. First of all, you're working in narrow areas, and if the suture tries getting away from you, it becomes very difficult. Okay, so for example, in fundoplication, where we use in GI surgery, is fundoplication, because it's a very narrow area you're working in, or in urological surgery, the pelvis when you're operating, there epibond has a better advantage as a rolling not right.
Yet you given
You can use it in, as you said, in, fund application and also for retrofits.
Polybutester, it is a monofilament and it is derived from polybutylene terephthalate and polytetramethylene ether glycol. And its tensile strength is infinite and it is also encapsulated in the tissues. It is generally used in plastic surgery. Surgical steel, it can be monofilament or multifilament, and it is an alloy of iron, nickel, and chromium. Its tensile strength is also infinite and it is encapsulated in tissues. It is generally used in sternal repair.
Basically, when you need a lot of tensile strength to hold tissues under tension, that is when you're going to use steel.
Anybody else knows where else it was used, but it's no longer used now? Many surgery, very common surgery. And it was one of the gold standards. Which channel was that? Yeah, but what is the name?
I name me.
That's the idea of it. English very much in steel. What are the names of the hernia surgery that you know that I mentioned in the textbooks? Before you first is the single surgeries.
Shoulders repair, shoulders made in Canada, they would double press the transversalis fascia and use steel, very thin steel for that, and also then and to approximate the environment and then to the environment.
Steel is not a problem.
Right. So otherwise your steel, stainless steel plate would be, and could heat the very
So thin that it is flexible.
So 1% of this recurrence rates, which is there. This is now the again all your family.
And we have the new and barbed switches, in which it can be unidirectional or bidirectional barbs. The advantage of the barb switches are there is no requirement of surgical knots, and it decreases knot related complications, and there is increased efficiency of wound closure.
Yeah, before you move ahead. Okay, yeah, you want to say something? Please.
No, sir. I'm showing the barb. This
Now, one simple question.
Sir, we have used it for urology, all the bladder.
Use it everywhere,
How to do it? Not will be there, you have to first take it, pocket it in the bite, and go through it first, and then you take some.
So basically, I'll just summarize that. First and foremost, you want to have unidirectional or bidirectional parts. What is unidirectional and bidirectional? You tell me what that means.
One way.
Correct. Correct. So when you're going, it should act like a plus or a line. So while going, it should be easy, but it shouldn't retract. That is the idea of having path. Okay. Second thing, what Abdul was trying to say is, at the end of the barb filter, there is a small loop. Okay. The whole idea of using the barb filter is to a knot. So if you go through the loop, it's technically acting like a knot, but without you having to tie. So advantages is that in laparoscopic surgery, when you have difficulty in suturing or if you're not extremely proficient in suturing or you're worried that your suture might get loose, that is when you're going to use a barb. Now, there are 2 or 3 ways of preparing barbs in the suture. One is you integrate barb onto it, okay? Or second, you cut the suture slightly like how it looks like in the image. Make small slips here and there, which is better.
Integrated.
Correct. Why?
Cutting is the
Exactly.
Because of
It is the
sutures.
suture method. So always integration to the core is much better than making small slips during production of the suture.
Disadvantage.
Costly.
wider extent.
I haven't used it.
I don't know myself. The board asked,
Anything else?
Will not.
yes, no, we can't undo it. I can't undo it. And there's a technique now, I heard it. Difficult. And sometimes if I use it, I didn't appreciate the way of worrying that we can do the issue, otherwise you can't sort out. So that's a little technique that we have to learn to start off with stage.
But to end it, it's like questions.
Yes.
You put a one there.
So bowel anastomosis, laparoscopy. Or the medical.
Okay.
You don't have to put a knot in the end. Well, it's do the same thing 2 or 3 times, the same area. That's like we're locking it in that. You don't have to.
You go beyond, you understand what?
Yes.
Beyond the edge of the anastomosis, take 2 or 3 lines.
No, that's issue.
So it doesn't retract back to the side of it.
So, should it have a good memory?
No. Should not have.
Answer,
Should not have.
do not have any. So it should become integrated and a part of the new arrangement. So it keeps falling backward, and there is a problem with pulling on the issue.
So whatever memory is back.
No, it's not a bad thing. You have to understand the memory also.
Yeah, theoretically you're right, but you cannot have a picture without an intent. It's a question of degree. Everything. Less the memory, better it is. As a surgeon, in terms of not in profit, it's a running. No.
And needles, it consists of mainly 3 parts: shank, body, and point. Generally, needle is grasped by the needle holder at 1/3 or 1 way, half of way back from the rear end. And Needle-
What was the thing you called the first one? The needle point, what is that one? Other end called?
shanks.
Shank. Is it that? Okay, I thought the word is switch.
Swage is where the,
Yeah.
each part is, next slide.
Next slide.
So where do you use, where do you hold the needle halfway down? And where do you use the needle holder about 2/3 now?
When we require more precision, we use at around halfway side. And when we require more length and curvature, we use around the 1/3.
So basically, whenever you are closing the abdomen, you use it at 2/3, 1/3. But most otherwise, you address, it's called the address of the needle holder at the needle. So you hold it at the tip of the needle holder, not now 3 or 4 serrations. So more precision is achieved by using it at the tip of the needle holder, halfway down the line. And that gives you more precision.
Yes. And needle is of 2 types: eyed needle, swagged needle, swaged needle. In eyed needle, the suture thread is passed through the eye, and it is reusable, economical as it is very cheap, and it is less sharp if it is reused, and it is less efficient because more time is spent for threading the needle, and it is more traumatic as the eyed part is very wider and it causes more damage to the
That is
tissues.
one. Something else, which is much more obvious. You don't have to put an order. That is not compulsory. Use common sense. Look at the image on the other side. How many
It is
threads
of-
are going into the needle?
Eyed needle needs
In
2
eye needle,
threads.
how many threads are there?
But
double.
That's all. So here two threads have to go, there only a single thread has to go. That's why it's more traumatic.
And it is now mentioned to be mentioned, not condemned. Mentioned because nobody is trying.
In swaged needle, the suture is permanently attached to the needle, and it is consistently sharp as it is used only once. It is convenient as there is no threading required, and it is more efficient. And so because of this, it is swaged needle is generally preferred now.
Yes, can you just go back one slide, one point? The third point which says economically, I needle. It's not because it's cheap, because you're using it, it becomes economic. Using the I needle 3 or 4 times as against using 4 or 5 slates with the material, that is why it's economic. Go ahead, go ahead.
So both are then not the previous one. So both there's the 3 point there. So they sway and then the shank, body and point.
I just look it up. Shank is the proximal part of the needle. Proximal part.
Yes.
Sway is the actual end.
And
Like the tip on the other side, sway is the actual end.
yes.
No.
And needle can be of round body needle.
I mean, just before, I think, here, round body and cutting are not the tips of the needle. This is methods. Okay, so actually, tips there are two. There is a sharp tip, there is a blunt tip. Can you tell me where you use blunt tip? Wherever there are very soft structures, that is where, like for what I read in books is for liver and spleen. That is where they use round body, round tip needles. Okay. Otherwise, in practice, we almost use all shunt tip needles so that your entry point is smooth and you don't tear through tissues. It's like a laceration versus an incision. Blunt trauma causes more damage as against a sharp incision. Same concept.
I remember I used one RPA patient in UK, and local consultant, Mark Rates. He said, it's easily available, large, long, blunt stick. That's what the coming out of the switch. You use that to put the tears in the liver. You want to save it, the dramatic twist. But yes, liver is a classic example for the blunt.
And also, I think I have not seen it here, but for abdominal closure, the needles used to come with the blanket. Because they thought more likely that you either intervention for your assistant. So, but I don't think I haven't seen it here.
Very difficult to drive issues through the patients. You need a sharp. Go on.
Round body needle, its needle generally splits the tissue, and so it is relatively atraumatic. And it is used in blood vessel, bowel, and bladder. And in cutting needle, in cross section of the needle, we can see that apex is at the outer edge, and in reverse cutting needle, apex is at the inner edge. It generally cuts through the tissue, and so it is traumatic. It is used in the skin, fascia, and sheath closure.
We have another slide on cutting and reverse cutting only.
Only this.
Okay. So, in general, if you have a needle like this, if it's on my palm side, okay, the sharp edge is on the palm side, the triangular point is called as cutting. If it's on the other side, it's called as a reverse cutting. In this, just look at the image down. Wherever they have written cutting needle and reverse cutting in that red highlight, no, that is the skin edge. Okay, so which has a higher chance of cutting or reverse cutting? Why? Correct. So if you try to tie the thread too tight, you can have cheese wiring. No? Now you have an apex where it can easily tear through. As against reverse cutting, where you have a broad area, the chance of it cutting through is lesser. Okay. What I learned back then is that cutting was easy to manufacture. So earlier everything was cutting me. Then when they kind of realized that okay, reverse cutting also has an advantage, that is when reverse cutting came.
So for the, especially conics, reverse pattern.
Yes, if you see all your echelon, whatever you see, most of it will be reverse cut. I've hardly seen any echelon cutting needle use for 203.
And there are special types of needles such as half circle needles generally used in the gastrointestinal tract, J-shaped needles in the vaginal surgery, and quarter needles in the ophthalmology, and compound curve needles in oral cavity.
J needle elsewhere, what we use. Do not assist with many cases. That was fourth level.
And it's a
What
not
is the, tell me the principle behind, why do you need different curve? What are the importance of the curve and length of the needle?
six.
Depending upon the depth of the incision and
How far
The-
apart
for-
that you need to get from the skin ends.
based on that we will be requiring this circles.
So if you're not going very deep, you need third, 1/3 circle or half circle. You're not going deep.
1/3 circles.
Why?
Because it has less curvature.
You need more curvature because you're not going deep, right?
Look at the image,
Look at the-
first image versus the third image. In which one can you go deeper? I'm not talking about how far you can go. Which one can you go deeper?
1/4 circles.
So then how is 1/3 better than 1/2?
because of 1/4, I said 1/3. Half is better when you're superficial.
Yes.
And deeper you go,
Less of the curvature.
And you want the distance to be far away. What should be the other characteristic of the needle apart from the curve?
Length of the needles.
So if you want from the entry point to the exit point, if you want it to be farther away, that depends again on the depth of the tissue also. If you're going deeper, you need to be farther away on the other. You need to a little longer.
Yes.
Okay, all right.
These are not special types, these are regular means that we use. Earlier we use straight means, with an eye, we don't use that.
Say that again.
Both white.
Name, half circle.
You don't use it, what you use the half circle now and do it. You don't get it and all. They need to use first recommended.
And
What has happened is that because of the needle, you're now using a port closure.
Translation.
Which is even better than.
For its under vision, you can, you're confident that you've gone through all the layers, as against just blindly taking it from the surface.
suture techniques, it consists of interrupted sutures. And generally during the the rule of thumb is the depth of the incision, if it is X, the bite should be taken X distance from the incision, from the edge, and the distance between the two sutures should be of length of 2x.
Another general rule that you can see in the image, this is a simple suture. Can you see where the knot is?
So,
Yeah, on one side, it's not on the center. That is something that you guys tend to make a mistake in the suture. Same applies for bowel and anastomosis. What happens if the knot is in the center? The chance it can invert. Put on the side, you kind of push the tissues together. You try to put in the center, the chance you can push the edges inside.
And I keep repeating it, I mentioned it in this basic skills course. All these are important things, surgical knot, lacing the knot, distances. You have to be, at this stage, you have to be precise and it becomes a part of your regular practice. It's called internalization. You see, many senior surgeons, will not be following this. But I urge you, have the habit of doing it. You know, you sort of get very casual about it. You don't get tired. Have the habit of doing it at this stage. Learn to decide it, because that's the most secure and the best way you can put issues.
And the other thing is, what you do inside may not be visible. On the screen, what you do, becomes obvious. You have to make it very clean and nice. That's why more sadness leave to the previous way.
Hopefully they do better.
Continuous switches. Ma-
Maybe run through this part.
Yeah, we've done all this service and skills course, no?
That's
Done all this.
You
Mat-
just go on naming them. You don't have to talk about the things.
mattress switches, vertical mattress and horizontal mattress.
Where do you use mattress?
Yeah, just about.
In abdominal wall closures, skin closure.
Wherever you want something, I mentioned it.
It's more strength.
Then you have to ensure something about the edges, the way the edges get approximated.
Ever
Erosion.
versions.
You will always ensure reversion. And second, when you want to obliterate dead space. Okay, that is when you are going to use a mattress as against a simple.
And subcuticular switches.
Avoiding,
Knotting techniques. It is of square knot or reef knot.
Should always be a
Square knot. In square knot, we can see that both the one side of the thread is inside the loop of other,
It's
but
either
inside
or
outside the
So in
loops.
the left image, if you see, both the blue lines are under the red loop. And both the red lines are above the blue loop. They should be together, side. Okay, whereas in a granny knot or a slip knot, you see one is above, one is below. There, either both are below or both are above. Okay, that is the difference. Where do you use a slip knot? There is a practical application for that. Yeah. Extra corporal knotting, yes, accepted. Anywhere else? Again, multiplication. Okay, because you are operating inside. Sometimes you're going to put your, it's very easy here to put the second floor. But then after you put the first floor, because of tension, that might open up again. Okay, so you put a slip knot and then you tighten. And then you change over the orientation and you can get back.
even in open surgery, depth where is not, this has been used. You have 3 or 4 throws of a slip knot, push it in, your hands can't go there. Use an artery for something to push it right down, and the very last thing is a locking knot. That will be a flat. Very last one, 4 or 5 of those slip knots, push it in, and the last one will be locking. That's all can be open surgery.
And surgeon's knot or circuit knot, we have it is the same as square knot, but we have an additional throw. Suture removal is generally done in face at 3 to 5 days, scalp 5 to 7 days, in neck 5 to 7 days, in thorax 10 to 12 days, and in abdominal perineum 12 to 14 days.
What is the concept behind this?
Because in face and scalp, there is more blood supply, so tissue healing is faster. So we can remove earlier.
Why can't you leave it for 12 days? You'll be absolutely certain, no, that it will heal.
But in face, there will be more scar formations.
Correct. So the longer you leave the suture in place, more is the risk of scarring. But that is like talking about side effects. But I wanted to know the advantage. Okay, what are the phases of wound healing? Why do you even have to leave it for 3 to 5 days? Why can't you take it off on 1 day? We put a suture, next day 5 days it happens. No, then put a
Epithelialization occurs in epithelialization 48 hours.
Strength.
Yeah.
Epithelialization doesn't give strength. Collagen formation gives.
Correct.
In the class of wound healing, something was mentioned about collagen.
Yes.
So what is that? What are the phases? That's what it has.
Inflammatory phase, proliferative phase, and remodeling phase.
Correct. So the first few days, there is only fibril sealing and epithelial elevation which happens. Most times. Yeah, there is no strain. That is the role of the suture. Beyond that, when, like I said, when the collagen leaking happens, that is when actual healing takes place. After that, suture has no role. After that, suture will only give you more scarring. So you have to take a decision as to when you want to take your suture out. Okay. Same principle with bowel leak. You see, an anastomotic leak might happen after 50 days, what is the that is because that is the time of collagen leakage. It takes place or it gives. Okay. Yeah.
There is, see, we stop this. Okay, let me go back one step. The thinness suture that is required for a given tissue to hold it together is what we need. Of course, sutures are there to hold the tissues together until naturally the tissue starts. Okay. So the thinness quality suture must be used for a given tissue. Do not use a 5-0 for an abdominal tissue. Just won't hold. So you need number 1 or 1. That's the thinness of it. Fastest to take out is the best. But again, it should not compromise the whole thing. So you must know the rate of healing of different tissues. More healing, I have a very nice slide which tells you different tissues in different bowel versus fascia versus skin versus bone. And also area, the same tissue in a different area feels slower. For example, skin on the face, all right, feels very quickly. Front of the abdomen quicker than the back. So if you take for a sebaceous cyst from the back, you leave it 2 weeks. Still the skin tissue. So you must have a certain amount of working knowledge of what tissue feels so fast. And the other factor that you have to know is the lines of Langer. So if your incision is in parallel with the line of Langer, tissue is less. That is the tissue lines. So if it's in parallel, you can take out the super faster. For some reason, you are very perpendicular to the lines of Langer. You can leave it longer. And third, the kind of tissue pressure that naturally occurs. Something in the lower abdomen, for example, or you strain at stool or passing urine or something, there's a lot of tension. So lower abdominal sutures, both in the depths and in the skin, must be left for longer than upper abdominal sutures. So all these factors have to be considered before you take over the suture.
And sir, let us just clarify this. Alternate suturing, do you follow that? I don't, see there is any advantage. There are surgeons who follow it, but if you are working for them, you follow whatever they say, but there is no advantage.
Yes, no, so the only thing what we say regarding alternate, suppose there is a dilemma whether to remove all the sutures together or not. We try to remove the alternate and see. Because
Why do you have a dilemma?
so if we feel that it is not healed,
Then you
For
leave
some
it,
reason.
leave all the suture. Leave all the
leaving and one more something for the remove alternate flush it. Suppose there is a collection of them. You flush it. So the sutures are still intact on either side, alternate. So when you flush it, then
That's a different matter. You talk about an infected wound. Then we also take out two sutures, these gaps. That's a different issue. Talk about an uninfected wound. If you are unsure whether your sutures, whether the normal tissue strength is adequate to hold it together or not, if you are unsure, don't take any of them. Leave another week. What's the big deal? Wait about a bigger star. I mean, a worse star, it doesn't matter. It's much better than, take it out, prematurely, and everything takes.
To the alternative to the sutures, we have skin adhesive strips, which it consists of self-adhesive tapes or steri strips, and polyurethane films such as opsite, tagadam, and bioclisine, and tissue glue such as butyl cyanoacrylate, octyl cyanoacrylate, and staplers.
Just before you go to staplers, where do you have the role of tissue glue and steri strip as against conventional slip? Okay, so idea is wherever you don't have any subcutaneous tissue, only approximation of dermis, that is where you can use this. You can't use these to approximate subcutaneous tissue. I mean, like I said, this will not give you the strength like what a suture does, because it's purely dependent on the capacity of the glue. This has nothing to do with hydrolysis, proteolysis, tensils, and nothing. Okay, so if your subcutaneous tissue is well approximated, then there is a role of steady state for tissue.
Very important that these are surface agents. It should not be in the depth of the wound, for example, the skin. Actually, answers put it into the edge. Okay, you approximate the holding to the, you can put it on the surface, and that will glue will hold the surface. So there is no glue material in the depth of the wound. While we are at it, before you go to the next one, just like alternates, removal of alternates. There is also the concept of locking the suture in a continuous. Do not lock. Okay. When you have a continuous loop all across the whole wound, the theory is that if it gets snapped somewhere, the whole thing falls apart. Right? My contention is it should not, you will have used a proper suture and a proper knot, it should not fall apart. And don't hold the stick with your knife or with your instruments. So that will weaken the snap, you know, weaken the stick by up to 60%. So never hold the suture with any of these, needle holder or articles. They all be only held by hand. That's all it is. So this business of something giving way and the whole thing getting unraveled is not true. But what is the advantage of the continuous suture? The wound swells, which really does. The tension along the wound, along the suture is uniformly distributed. So any segment of the suture is not an abnormal tension. Whereas if you do locking, because it is locked, different segments have different tensile tensions on it. And so it can actually cut through. It can cut through tissues in a particular segment, swells and is so that is a very pure tension. So I recommend that you do not lock sutures when you do continuous.
Just to add a point on that, where do you actually use an artery to hold the suture? Then it is absolutely essential. You need to use an artery for the thermostator. Step. Okay, when you're doing something on the tension, you need to step it. That is the concept of the don't crush the tissue. Just step on it. Put just yeah, just close it. Hold with just enough tension to make sure that the knot doesn't slip. Don't trip, but all three steps that should not be done. And second thing is always in a stepping, make sure your this one is looking down rather than trying to step like this. That is because when you're looking down and you throw the second knot, it will slip on the instrument. Rather than if it's like this, if the knot gets stuck, you can't remove it. You end up struggling in the fluid, you're actually damaging the tissue. You're making the knot less secure at that point of time by damaging the tissue.
What is the role of stereoscope in emergency? Usually we use it in some.
In children.
Right? Less application. Easy to approximate. No need to do work.
Yes.
Scar becomes equally good if you approximate properly.
Yes.
Where you cannot use it,
So in infected and deeper wounds,
it will not be bloody. It will not be wet. The wound has to be
Dry.
for this glue and this. If it's bleeding, for example,
and staplers, the advantage of the staplers is there is less tissue handling and less tissue tension. There is less trauma and it decreases the duration of surgery and it has better hemostasis.
I don't accept any of this. I think he's made a mistake. This is bowel anastomosis paper. It's not thin paper. Okay, because yesterday he sent it, I told him take out bowel anastomosis just to the image of bowel anastomosis paper. But rest of the contents are linear circular scheme. The only point is the third point advantage. Decrease duration of surgery because you can just go on keeping them fast. That's all.
that's why we want to be completely reversing.
Okay, now I want you guys to tell me in bowel anastomosis, tell me the characteristics of the suture that you want, and then we can decide what suture is the best. You want like start from beginning. You want absorbable, non-absorbable, synthetic, natural, multi-filament, polyfilament like that. Absorbable. Correct. You want an absorbable suture because it is. Thank you. If you use a non-absorbable suture, you can have granuloma, cotton body reaction for an operator. Okay. You want an absorbable suture. Synthetic or natural? Synthetic. Then you want monofilament, what is it? monofilament, polyfilament can be used. We're not saying no to that. Then do you want a delayed absorbable or rapidly absorbable delay? Both can be. You don't expect over idea. We need it only for about 5 to 10 days. You don't need it beyond that. And needle you want round body. So can you tell me what suture you like to use considering these characteristics? PDS is one. Other one which is multi-filament. Right. Okay, so what you should not use are natural sutures like silk. Then non-absorbable sutures like rolling, epsilon. Rolling, some people do still use, but we use that. Next, in fascia. Monofilament, preferably. Okay, next. Non-absorbable. Okay, or a delayed absorbable, but we can use non-absorbable part. Okay, next. Synthetic. Okay, next. Needed. You want cutting or you want are you sure? Fascia. It is not fascia is what basically some sort of fibers. So you just need to pierce through them. Only the tip has to be sharp. So we are only using the sharp tip. You don't need it to cut through tissues. Okay, if you cut through it, then it integrates. So even a round body needle will do the job because it's just going through fibers of the muscle. So which one would you like to use?
PDS.
PDS or yeah. Now I think we will start on point that size of the suture I don't use. Like I said, it should be the smallest suture that you need for that particular. That doesn't mean you use 10 centimeters. Yeah. So what will you use for the fascia? When you're talking about fascia, you're talking about laparoscopy. That's not very good. You use 20 only for the
One or one zero.
now which is bigger, 1 or 10? Confidently answer 1 or 10. If 0 is on this side, how does it matter? Okay.
Be very sure.
Yeah, 10 is 10. It's 0 and 10 same. All of it. It is 0 and 10 are the same. Anything about that is 1, 2, 3. Less than that is 2, 0, 3, 0, 4. Okay. Next.
Vascular.
Synthetic. Okay. In between, monofilament, polyfilament. Why? Monofilament is extremely important here. Vascular osmosis. No, there's a lot of pressure inside the blood vessel rather than intestine and skin. So if you use a suture material which has a bigger hole, you can have blood leaking out from your suture tract rather than your anastomotic side. So it has to be thin, fine sutures as much as possible.
Platelet adherence and distal
I
embolization.
was asking for monofilament polyfilament. Yeah. Fine needle, okay, round body. So what will you use here? You want absorbable or non-absorbable? Vascular, no, like I said, under tension. So you need it for a long period of time. Okay. Yeah. Next, subcuticular suture. Let's pick it up.
Absorbable.
Okay, absorbable accepted. Or you can use non-absorbable if you're planning to remove the suture. You want monofilament or polyfilament? That becomes important here.
Have to slide through tissue
Yeah.
easily. Nerves.
Correct. For interrupted, you can use polyfilament, but if you're planning for continuous suture, as much as possible, choose a monofilament like Sutures has to slide through. Either during your suture remove or during for example, or even if you wanted to absorb, when you're tightening the stitch as you go, it's better you use a monofilament. It slides, it doesn't get stuck anywhere. You can take 2 or 3 bites and then tighten it. Okay. And at this point of time, in subcuticular, would you prefer the suture to have memory or not when you're removing the stitch? Ideally, you prefer it because it can slide through much easier. So it doesn't get incorporated or stuck in the tissue. No? It has memory, it can stay a little loose and you can pull it out much simpler. Okay. You want to take the last one? Skin.
Yes, sir. Non-observable, simple.
Okay. Now needle comes into picture.
Yes, cutting.
Cutting or reverse cutting. Correct. And size.
So depending upon the
Correct.
requirement.
Here to example. On the face.
Place what do you want to use?
I will take the final one.
Which one?
Size.
60 or 50.
50, 40, 50 is fine. On the back, on the back. Okay.
Anywhere else? Forearm, leg.
One, back.
What in endo loop, what is the simply? We use no appendix to get an endo loop. What is the simply in endo?
No, answer.
It is captive. And why we use captive?
It is
one of the theories. You use it fibrotic, you use it tissue reactive. So the lumen becomes narrow.
All right, okay. Closing. Good class, okay, you had a learning here. Good work.
Thank you, sir.
My only comment is that I haven't seen references to any.
Sir.
In the end, okay. Good. But I always recommend that on the slide, for a given topic, presentations. If you don't do the whole lot on the slide, on the presentation, just put the name of the first author, journal and the year.
Okay, sir.
So we know that then and there, that's where your reference. All right. Okay. Thank you.
Correct. Again, all the research and